I'm a little bit late to the party with regards to the Resident Evil 2 remake exploding at this year's Sony E3 press conference, but I decided to wait for a few days since there was a bit more to discuss after that day one livestream. And believe me, there were more games in there that I was hoping to see, and Resident Evil 2 was one of them. Well, fellow Resident Evil fans, our long-awaited, probably decades-long, maybe even longer, wish has been granted. The Resident Evil 2 remake has finally been shown off. So I want to clarify a few things, talk a little here and there, tell you what I liked about that trailer. Okay, here we go. The RE engine makes Raccoon City look fantastic, and I feel they got the tone and atmosphere of a destroyed city really well done. Everything from the burning cars to the shadowing clouds overhead, honestly, wow. And the lighting really balances itself out too. As for the Raccoon Police Department itself, again, it's very dark, and I like that there's a bit of what Resident Evil 7 was able to pull off with the lighting. As such, in certain sections shown, it gives the space a dark blue kind of tone, which I find really beautiful when mixing it into the dark, deserted hallways of the RPD. And on a final note, the front lobby. Sure, the layout has changed somewhat significantly compared to its counterparts shown in the original Resident Evil 2 and Darkside Chronicles, but I feel that it not only doesn't stray too far away from what made the front hall special, but it also expands on it so us players can have more options to explore and walk in blindly without 100% knowing where to go, while knowing that's the exact hallway that we entered back in the original game. And now to talk about something else. Something besides environments.
Jesus Christ.
First of all, before the Resident Evil 2 remake was shown off, I was sort of left with a bit of disappointment after the initial reveal of how an all-time favorite Resident Evil character, like Chris Redfield, was shown as in Resident Evil 7. Going into this remake, this kind of hindered my judgment as to how the team would use the RE engine to recreate Leon and Claire. Thankfully, though they did take some getting used to at first, they resemble their looks from the original pretty well. But on another note, as I was trying to get used to, say, Leon's look for example, in some instances, some angles of Leon made him look like classic Leon, while others to me felt a little weird. I don't know, it's very hard to explain, but I think I've gotten used to the new looks. Whereas Chris, well, I don't hate it, but from a chronological standpoint, it was a baffling decision for Chris to have that look. And as for the zombies, my oh my. I hope that something like this shot in the trailer isn't only for cinematics, but honestly, it actually feels fresh that I, as a longtime Resident Evil fan, would actually feel a little bit terrified at these monsters that I figured I would have been used to by now. After all, zombies are pretty standard enemies. They're not hard to take down compared to like a hunter or a dog, for example. Also, is it just me, or does this zombie in this screenshot resemble Margaret from Resident Evil 7? Moving on. Besides the zombies, we know what's up. Mr. X, William Birkin, the Lickers. These are the few things that made Resident Evil 2 one of the most memorable Resident Evil titles to date. I still find it somewhat humorous that Mr. X decided to wear a fedora this time around, but that doesn't bother me too much, honestly. I guess we'll see how we fight him in combat. I guess. Speaking of combat, seeing one screenshot with Leon, I thought that there was going to be some kind of counter to the zombies if they grabbed hold of you. Well, guess what? And whether or not you like the third-person perspective, it can be a hit or miss depending on your preferences. Though rightfully so, I understand the slight backlash that some fans have expressed for this not having its traditional camera angles. Its original having fixed camera angles, its Darkside Chronicles variation having first person, and now this official remake having third person. Maybe there's slight hope for some fixed camera angles after all? Probably not, but I don't know. Now for the gameplay interface. The Resident Evil 7-like interface could just be a placeholder, but even if it makes it into the final game, I wouldn't mind it, to be honest. Even with some events that appear similar to Resident Evil 7, I don't have too much of an issue. Same with sequences that appear similar to Resident Evil 7. like cutting open the fuse box. But I assume little things such as references to the first game aren't too far behind, and will be in this remake. I mean, the STARS office was shown off in the first trailer, so there's bound to be more, and at least the game seems to prompt itself every time items are picked up, which is great. Hell, I find it a bit better that the game will show off as a prompt when you're taking damage as well. The health bar isn't present down in the corner of the screen, but will pop up if the player's health reaches a certain level. That'll definitely grab my attention so I can spray myself with the necessary first aid, or take a load off and smoke a bit of that fine green and red herb. Now let's move on to what's probably one of the most essential pieces of the puzzle of this remake: the story. With what little gameplay and footage that's been shown to us, let's talk a little bit about the presentation of Leon's character in this game thus far. Since we're going back to the beginnings of Leon's career as a rookie police officer who's pretty much freshly selected from the police academy or wherever Leon studied, I'm willing to bet that Leon, like other officers who believed in selflessness to help others, that Leon still holds on to that. Hence the reason I feel that he was desperate to save that Elliot character who had met with a very gory fate, and was even willing to save Marvin as well. Again, he's just a rookie at this point, and that thing with Marvin is something that happened in the original as well, but I'd imagine one dream of a rookie police officer like Leon would be to save people and be a hero, even though the reality is far from what he probably fantasized about when waiting to finally earn his place as an officer of the RPD. And coming back on Marvin for a second, assuming everything I said isn't a complete dumpster fire of a statement, Marvin's pretty much breaking every single bit of police officer ideals that Leon probably learned, and has come to terms as to what kind of situation they're in and how to respond, hence the reason that he's encouraging Leon to save himself. And I could be wrong, but I think we all heard who Annette Birkin sounds like in that trailer.
It's an impressive display of strength, but we never meant for this to happen.
The Birkin story has definitely got to be one of the most important parts that they need to get right, and voiceovers for the rest of the characters for the most part, they're actually pretty good. I like them. I know that the entire non-union incident took a toll on most of the fan base, and even some of the voice actors who were denied to play their role again. But alas, I guess there's no going back to change that. It is what it is, and for what we have, it isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So, all in all, I think that based off these trailers and the little bit of gameplay that was shown off, I think we're going to be in for a hell of a ride when this comes out, for both the developers receiving feedback and the already excited Resident Evil audience. So that's going to do it for today's Resident Evil 2 Remake discussion. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. So as per usual, my social media things are in the description and all that stuff. Leave a comment in the comment section down below as to what you think about this whole Resident Evil 2 thing. And I thank you for watching this video. This has been PSYLOD, and I'll see you in anything I put out in the future. Take care and goodbye.